Father, who can distribute the communion with you?
Hello, my name is Father Tim, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Wonders of the Mass. We've come to the high point where we're about to share in the body and blood of Christ. That's right, Holy Communion. And at this time, you would see a little group, few people coming into the sanctuary to assist the priests in distribution of Holy Communion. This group is called the Extraordinary Ministers of Holy Communion. And they're there for a functional role to assist the priest in distributing Christ's body and blood. But also, it comes from the dignity as baptized members of His body to exercise that baptismal dignity to be able to share, participate in the sacramental priesthood of the priest, which is the sacramental baptismal priesthood of the faithful. You might wonder, how does one become an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion? Before we get to that, we must explain what extraordinary means. Certainly, it can connote awesome, right? That's extraordinary. And that's very true. But we say that because it's outside of the ordinary. That's why it's awesome. The ordinary minister of Holy Communion are those who were ordained to do so, which are the bishops, priests, and deacons by their sacramental priesthood. In those situations and circumstances where it calls for more people to help distribute in an orderly, timely way, because there's such a large amount of people, people are called, like the faithful, like you, to become extraordinary, outside of those ordinary circumstances where there are ordained ministers. That's why they're called extraordinary. They're also awesome too. To become an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, one must be at least 16 years old and obviously baptized and confirmed in having received their first Eucharist. But also, they need to be reverent. They need to exercise and proclaim by the way that they act this love for the Eucharist, and hence they have good knowledge and preparation of this sacred duty they're going to undertake, and also the way that they dress can be appropriate for this sacred action that's occurring at the altar. Becoming an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion isn't a sacred rite such as we feel entitled to do so. It's a calling, just as in Matthew's Gospel, Jesus says the harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. Although this applies more directly to the sacramental priesthood, it also applies to the baptismal priesthood of the faithful, where we can all participate and share in the gifts of the Holy Spirit that we have received. And hence, perhaps maybe you feel that calling to assist the priest in this very sacred way. If you have this deep love for the Eucharist, maybe present yourself, to the priest. Say, Father, can I help? I would love to be an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. It also applies here to Luke's Gospel when Jesus takes the 5 loaves and 2 fish and blesses and breaks it. And the Gospel says that He gave them to the disciples to distribute to the crowd. And we see there that Jesus wants His disciples to participate in the distribution of Holy Communion. The 5 loaves and 2 fish, this wasn't Eucharist in and of itself, but it was a foretaste, a foreshadowing of the future Eucharist given at the Last Supper. Next time you're at Mass, I invite you to say a special prayer for those ministers who are going to distribute Holy Communion with the priest. Say a prayer for them, that they can live that Eucharistic faith by the way that they act and also distribute to the faithful. And also consider yourself to present yourself to become an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Wonders of Mass. My name is Father Tim, and remember, when you leave the Mass, live the Mass.